So Victor Oladipo came out of nowhere this season, as he elevated himself to probably a top 20 player. And this is pretty crazy because the improvement that he saw this year is abnormal for a guy who's this far along into his career. And I think the majority thought that he was pretty much done improving and he would cap out at being a decent enough starter, but nowhere near where he is now. And this got me thinking, who's going to be the next NBA player to make this kind of a jump? Someone who has already established themselves. Maybe they've been in the league for 4 or 5 seasons, potentially even more than that, but they're going to see this drastic jump in as little as this upcoming season. And I would guess that this would be someone who has already shown some signs, but maybe it's because of injuries or whatever, has not been able to really go to that next level. And the first guy I want to talk about is Rodney Hood, who's currently on the Cleveland Cavaliers, but we're going to see mainly footage of him on the Jazz. Whether Hood's actually on the Cavs next season because of his contract, who really knows? The thing with Rodney Hood is he loves jump shots and he loves the mid-range. And when it's going in, I think he has a really pretty looking game, but when it's not going in and he's hoisting up a lot of long 2-pointers and contested threes, it's not the best thing in the world. I think what would be good for him is to tighten up his handle a little bit more and attack the basket just a bit more often, but he's also had some injury trouble as well. I mean, you could argue if he was just able to play a full 82, then that might allow him to go to another level as a player. He may have to do it on a different team, one where he's just relied upon more offensively. He's someone to watch for this offseason. Next, I want to talk about Chris Middleton, who has gotten progressively better with his scoring each season with the Bucks, and I don't think it's beautiful. I think he does have moments where he over-dribbles or doesn't see the open guy or maybe posts up a bit too often. But you can't mistake the fact that dude is really getting better when it comes to beating opposing players off the dribble, and given his size, he can get his shot off over a lot of NBA defenders, and because of his really good jump shot, he could be a quality off-ball player as well. I think it's going to be a matter of just being a little bit more efficient and maybe getting to the free throw line a bit more often for Middleton as well. I mean, if you can get to the line a lot and drill 3-pointers, you can be a really good scorer in the NBA today. Our number 3 guy is going to be Otto Porter of the Wizards, who has gotten a bit better at creating his own offense every year. This season, he's at about 1.6 pick-and-roll possessions a game, which really isn't much, but it's like doubled from last year. And he's actually been extremely good at them. He's in the 92nd percentile in the NBA in pick-and-rolls, as we see jump shots going in for him. So we can talk about that jump shot a little bit more. It's excellent. From 3, from mid-range, finishing around the rim, he's very good. He's pretty much mastered the ability of just playing off of a playmaker like John Wall. And I do think Scott Brooks could use him off ball a little bit more, but what more can you really ask for there? I do think Otto Porter has another level to get to as a ball handler, beating defenders, playing in the pick and roll, and just creating a bit more offense for himself in the Wizards. Now, Reggie Jackson creates his own offense already for the Pistons, but when I said earlier about Chris Middleton and sometimes having some over-dribbling problems, Reggie Jackson definitely has some of that to him as well. He plays more like a guy who's already a 20-plus point scorer when, as we know, Reggie Jackson at his very best is like an inefficient 18 or 19 point guy. The biggest thing is the jump shot. If his 3-pointer can get to a different level, I think that'll open up everything else. Defenses will respect him more in the pick and roll. They won't go under the screen on him as much. And then from there, he can do more in what I think his best trait is, which is just going downhill towards the rim. And while he's not the best playmaker in the world, if defenses respect him more, then his teammates are going to be open a bit more often. I am concerned that Reggie Jackson may just be this guy who never totally figures it out, but the talent is definitely there. Next, we're going to speak on Jrue Holiday, who just had a hell of a game against the Portland Trail Blazers. Jrue has had injury problems similar to Rodney Hood, and it seems like whenever he's been able to get momentum going, he's going to be out for 2 weeks with whatever injury you want to come up with. but he got a lot better this season at just creating his own offense. I think he's a guy who, for most of his career, has been team first. He's willing to flow within an offense, but this season, especially when DeMarcus Cousins got injured, he had to take more of an initiative with his scoring, and he's a really good mid-range shooter. He can make contested shots. His three-pointer dipped a little bit this season, but hopefully that could be okay. He just seems like he's getting progressively better, and as long as he can stay healthy, we could see him grow into a real scorer. I mean, he put up 19 points a game this season for the Pelicans, so who knows from there. And then finally, Tobias Harris, a guy who is in a similar mold as Carmelo Anthony because he has enough athleticism and ball handling abilities to beat power forwards off the dribble, and if you put a smaller guy on him, then he can play some bully ball as well. I don't think he has a glaring weakness as an offensive player. I mean, even his three-point shot has progressed. I think it's a matter of just getting to the point where you can be that big-time scorer. I mean, he's a really efficient 16 to 20-point guy right now, but if he's going to make a Victor Oladipo type jump, then it's just going to be improvement overall. I mean, maybe he goes to a near elite level of three-point shooting where he's taking 8 or 9 threes a game, or maybe he can figure out a way to get to the free throw line for 9 to 10 attempts a game. Who knows? But I do think Tobias Harris is a gifted offensive player who just seems to get about 6 to 7% better every season, and I do think that could be a trend. Are any of these guys going to make that Victor Oladipo jump? I don't know, but we can see.